welcome Wrestle Buddies to a special stream that we're doing live for you now. News coming out of them. I'm joined here by Matty. How we doing, buddy?
How you guys doing? How are the Wrestle Buddy fans doing? Weren't expecting to do a live stream today, but they're continuing on from yesterday, so
Yeah, unfortunately, as I say, we just got the news that Samoa Joe got released. Not too sure whether this is going to be the last one or not, but it's not. It's looking likely that there's going to be a few more.
yeah, that's what I'm most worried about. Is this does not seem like it with the releases yesterday. There was 12 yesterday. We got 2 today so far with Gabe Sapolsky and Samoa Joe. I highly doubt that this is done. It just today.
Yeah, it's one of them though as well, mate. And as much as I'm not for all this, and I'm not really liking the fact that people lose their jobs and stuff like that. When it comes to NXT, I always think to myself like, it needs this. It needs it to happen.
Yeah.
If it's going to move on.
Unfortunately, yeah, with the way that they're wanting to do NXT now, with their new format and everything, unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like there's room for Triple H guys anymore. That's why Brian James got fired yesterday. That's why Regal got canned yesterday. And I very strongly feel that's why Joe got released today. And if the names that we were talking about, worried about getting released, do get released, it's all under that same they were Triple H guy banners, and that's the sad part.
But this is the thing though, Matt, is it because they were Triple H guys, or is it because of the fact that it's like the new era and the way that these guys coach and what, maybe not as much as Samoa Joe, because I know he was helping out with the coaching a little bit, but he was more into, he was on the screen and he goes totally against what they're trying to do at the moment.
Yeah, he would have been the last remnants of black and gold that they had if he were to come back.
And that's the thing is like, I've done an article for this Wrestle Buddy which is going to get published tomorrow, but I'll just speak about it very quickly now. And I've done 5 things of why WWE need to, why they've changed the whole NXT, why they've gone away from this. And I feel like this is the new era, similar to the likes of the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era on the main rosters. We're seeing a bit of a change in the guard, as it were, and Samoa Joe, the 4 Horsewomen, they're all known as Black and Gold, and they'll always be known as that era. Could we be talking in a few years' time about the Bron Breakers and Von Wagners and whatnot being the 2.0 era? And, unfortunately, it's the evolution, isn't it?
Yeah, and everything's got to move forward. With people like Regal, like Joe, and I'm going to go a step further and even say with people like Timothy Thatcher and Danny Burch, those are people that you can get this new crop of young talent. You'll get them trained damn well. They're going to have good in-ring work. I know in-ring isn't what they're like focusing on mainly, but you also have Timothy Thatcher and Samoa Joe, who are phenomenal character guys. And they could have easily shown this young talent, the basketball players, the volleyball players, the people who've never been in like entertainment before. Those people can help this younger talent elevate themselves. I don't see the point in just because they are Triple H guys firing them.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, we're just assuming it's because the Triple H guys,
Yeah.
Big Jim says, or Jimmy Baby says, there goes the style fits in with the old era, gotta raise the mindset, completely rebuild to avoid reverting back to it in any way. I get that, and also the fact of the matter is, let's not forget, Road Dogg is an old head. So does he still have old beliefs, old ways of doing things where maybe, they're trying to go in a totally new direction? As you mentioned there, they're bringing in a lot of athletes nowadays, so they're trying to erase that whole indie kind of feel and the indie stars totally away from it, which is why I believe that there potentially will be more releases to get rid of anyone that's kind of in that, they'll keep a few around Do we think Ciampa maybe?
That's my big worry. Is on Twitter I saw someone say I would not in the slightest be surprised if we see Roderick Strong and Tommaso Ciampa come up.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing
And
that
to
I
be
will say,
fair, Roderick Strong would be a phenomenal 2.0 talent because not only is he good, you know, in ring, but you also got someone like Malcolm Bivens who is totally going to be a good 2.0 manager. And
I'm just not sure. I mean, as I say, you know what, Matt? It's like, as much as me saying you need to get rid of the old guards and stuff like that. Did you watch the NXT this week? The
the New Year's
Evil.
Evil, I got a chance to see some bits and pieces.
And
Uh,
there was a point in it where it was meant to be a near fall, and I believe that Ciampa was meant to put his foot on the rope, and Bron Breakker had hold of the wrong leg. And midway through, he tries to scramble to change legs, so he gives the opposite leg for Ciampa to get it to the ropes, and Ciampa, like a pro, throws his hand on the rope instead, and obviously saves the match and whatnot. And it just got me thinking, is like, you've got to remember, a lot of these guys are very, very green,
mhm.
and as much as they can learn in the performance centre and stuff like that, a WWE happy to have these guys doing this type of thing, or is it gonna, are they happy for them to make the mistakes live on NXT? Because if that's the case, I'm not against that. But an old head like Ciampa, who in that you can see he was the one that kind of instigated and got the hands on.
I was about to say, and really helped to carry Braun Breaker in that match as well. Like
He really did.
Ciampa made Braun Breaker look like a fucking champion.
He really did. And the only other thing that I'm saying is, like, if say you have Bron Breakker in that match versus Von Wagner, and and Bron Breakker gets the wrong leg.
Yeah, I was about to say Wagner I don't think would have the wherewithal or the instincts to just reach out, grab that rope to get any semblance. It's the same thing, like you would not get that if you were to throw those people into like the Kevin Owens Jericho feud a few years ago, like where
No.
the whole feud was built off of that one finger touching the rope. Like we're not going to be getting none of those like very intelligent angles with
No.
what we're going to see at 2.0. And
No.
albeit but that's going to be a bad or a good thing.
I mean, the thing is, the one thing I'll say, at first I was very against 2.0. I didn't like I didn't like the logo, I didn't like the thing, but as human, it's in my human nature, the same as everybody else, to have some kinds of like fear of change. But I will admit it is starting to grow on me. It's growing on me as we go.
And the talent is really getting good. Braun Breaker is coming out as a star. Carmelo Hayes, that's one of the guys that they signed during the black and gold era, but he's 100% going to be like one of those top 2.0 guys for a while.
Yeah.
And he shows that, he only spent a couple years on the indies before coming to NXT. And there's a big difference between a Carmelo Hayes and like a Grayson Waller. But they're getting good. They're all getting good. And I'm even going to say Lash Legend, her last match was a lot better than that match with Saray where she almost killed Saray. But like this 2.0 talent, they're getting better. It's going to take time. And I think I said that whenever 2.0 started taking over was give it time, see where it goes. I'm not going to lie. I have not been a big fan of where it's gone, but without a doubt, they're starting to etch their own path.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that you've got to think with Joe, just to single back to Joe, is he cleared to wrestle yet?
That's what I don't know, because me and my girlfriend were talking about it. Last I remember, he was still dealing with that concussion.
He was.
And if he got fired while he was still recovering, I personally feel that's really scummy. Like, there's professional sports contracts that have no cut clauses while you're injured. And yeah, no, if Joe was still hurt and he got released while hurt, I'm more irritated about that than anything.
Yeah, see, Jimmy says their fair question. I don't think anyone is asking how many of these names getting released gave push back on the new direction. Do you know what, mate? It's a very, very good point. You know, how many people are, well, you know, I've been there in my day job. I've had news, like I'm a manager, I manage a team, you know, a big team of staff, and one of the things that I've noticed is I've stopped hiring people who come in on the entry level from other companies in the same industry.
Hmm.
And the reason I've done that is because when they come in, all you get out of them is, well, when I was here, we done it this way. Well, when I was here,
Hmm.
we done it this way. And it's like, okay, well, you was there, but now you're here, and we do it a
We
different
do
way.
it a different way.
And you know, you can imagine people to be kind of like, okay, well, when we were at thingy, we done it this way. When we had the old NXT, we done it this way, or we've always done it this way. And you know, especially and do you know what? It pains me to say this because in my eyes, in a developmental brand, it should be the case, but the likes of your Garganos, your Ciampas, and you know, not necessarily maybe Samoa Joe, because let's face it, Joe did go up and have success on the main roster, which a
Hmm.
lot, you know, quite a lot of them didn't. And I just look at it and think to myself, okay, well, you know, do they push back for the old stuff? But also, because they've been there for quite a while, the likes of Gargano, Ciampa, as we said, you know,
Even
Roderick
Regal,
Strong's
I
probably
think.
another one. You know, they might think that they're kind of a locker room leader. They're like kind of their senior, you know, talent, as it were, in NXT, so they can speak out and be more vocal about do you know what I'm trying to say, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, and that's where it's kind of, you know, it's a very good question, Jim, of like, you know, how many of these names are pushing back on it, especially the ones that think that they're top talent. And I believe people who think that they're top talent in a developmental brand and have been around there for years. You know, what's your thoughts on people staying around NXT? Because obviously, you know, it's been great, but let's not forget it is a developmental brand, Matt.
Yeah, I was about to say that is one thing that like I have to keep throwing myself back to is
Mm,
NXT has always been a developmental brand. I was
yeah.
about to say this NXT was always the ladder up to the main roster.
Mm.
Um, with talent
I
like
mean,
Damian Priest and Keith Lee,
Charlotte
uh,
Flair, Becky.
Charlotte Flair, the Horsewomen, uh, even fuck, uh, like
Kevin
whenever they,
Owens, Sami
yeah,
Zayn.
I was about to say there's Cesaro. You've got so many people that were in that NXT developmental and are now mainstays,
Mm,
and like they had a lot of people that could have been mainstays in that black and gold NXT, but now they're in the business of trying to build up their new stars,
mm, yeah.
and
Well,
it's
the
just going to
thing
go back
is,
to the
th-
developmental process, I guess.
and that's what it should be, but the thing is, you know, Jimmy's just said there, for those who thought Gargano was going to go back to WWE, does this change things? Yeah, I think it does, Jimmy. I don't think he would have went if I mean, I know they offered him a new contract. Maybe that was just to stop the flow to AEW, I don't know. But I don't think he will go back Gargano now. But just to go back to what I was saying there was, wrestling fans can be very fickle. Now, I don't believe anybody should lose their jobs. It's not what I'm about in that. But do you see the same uproar when NFL make cuts?
No,
You know,
no, like
and
I was about to say, and
unfortunately,
they literally cut over 20 people on the build up to the regular season.
and look at
Like
Brock
there's a
Lesnar, he got cut, didn't he?
Yeah, I was gonna say he didn't even make it to the first game of the actual season. There is a 53 there is a 53 man roster that the NFL has going throughout the regular season.
Uh,
Before that, there's like
yeah.
70 plus people on that roster.
Well,
And
that's it, mate.
you
And
don't hear uproars about that. Like not even when Brock Lesnar got cut were people up in arms about that.
no, well, that's it, mate. And that's why, as I say, when I look at it, you know, nobody goes like that. The only unfortunate, well, not unfortunate thing, but the only thing um, for WWE is the way that they is with it being an entertainment company and them being these people being on television and stuff like that. It kind of people get attached to them and stuff like that, don't they? Where I suppose in the NFL, it's the whole cut stuff's done behind closed doors before they make it to a match or a game, you know.
Hmm.
And that's probably, unfortunately, they're just, they're a victim of what.
And I think that's a huge thing that really separates like our pro wrestling fan base from other major sports is when you are a sports fan, you are normally a fan of that team. You'll have players on that team that you'll like, and you may follow them if they leave. But in pro wrestling, we've literally got people that stan wrestlers like they do actual celebrities. So we've got fan bases that looking at the releases of Joe and the releases yesterday with like William Regal. You've got a lot of people out there now that are looking at WWE and going, you just looked at my boy and said, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of a differentiating in the fan bases whenever it comes to that as well.
So Jimmy's just said here, in other sports, people buy jerseys and spend a lot of money on players that get shipped out a lot by releases and trades. It happens, unfortunately, and the other thing I'll ask you as well is, again, not making light of anybody losing a job, would never do that, but if you've come into WWE, right, you're one of these new crop of talent that's already, they have the property of a WWE t-shirt on there in the performance centre and whatnot, and you're sitting there and you've been training for 6 months, maybe a year, and you've been on the sound stage, you're doing your promos, you really want to start putting it all together, but you're looking at NXT and you're looking at it and you go, oh well, there's Gargano, there's Ciampa, oh they've been there for years, so your spot for new talent to push on through dwindles again because you've got these main people that are on the roster and whatnot.
And I do really understand that because it's going to be hard for people like Grayson Waller and Carmelo Hayes and even like a big name like Braun Breaker. It would be really hard for them to try to advance their careers whenever you still got Gargano, Ciampa at the top of the card. So I do understand that there.
And the other thing you've got is like, look at now, even Simone Johnson was signed by the WWE at the back end of 2019.
She has not made a single appearance, has she?
No, but how many other people that were in her class have made an appearance yet?
How many people from that class are still there?
Exactly. So there's a lot of people that are still there that haven't made an appearance yet. That, if the likes of some of these guys that were there had moved on quicker, maybe they would have got the space. So, as much as we don't want to see people losing the jobs, these guys will be fine. They'll go on to have good careers elsewhere. And
oh yeah.
Joe B and A's will be 100%.
Oh,
they'd be stupid not to grab hold of him.
I said on Twitter I would much prefer him in New Japan Strong, working with people like Jeff Cobb and
I don't think
Matthews.
He's going to be a worker, Matt. I don't see him being a worker much anymore. I don't think he's, I think he's very limited in what he can do nowadays. So I believe that he may go to AEW in a backstage capacity or Impact Wrestling, perhaps.
I could totally see Impact. I don't think he ever left on bad terms with them.
Oh yeah, CM Punk versus Samoa Joe. It's not a bad show. That
I saw someone say that AEW should bring Joe in as Punk's backup to Wardlow.
Wouldn't be a bad show, to be fair.
I was about to say, if I find who tweeted that, I'll give you a shout out on here. But I just saw it scrolling through. Right now, I am currently I'm trying to see if there's been any more releases, as Joe got released about 45 minutes ago, and I am not seeing anything yet. So we're hoping that Joe is the only other one today. Gabe Sapolsky also got released today. That was a backstage guy with NXT, another one of Triple H's guys. But I'm just genuinely hoping that this is the last one. I know it's not going to be because of the way WWE's business model's been. But if this could be the last one for at least January, I'd be happy.
Oh, do you know what makes me laugh here? Just looking through, I'm doing the same thing, scrolling through Twitter, having a little look, and I just had a quick look at Dave Meltzer's and, Sean Ross Sapp and that are going on about Joe's release and stuff like that. All Dave Meltzer's going on about is the demographics.
This ain't nothing about demographics.
Yeah, he hasn't even mentioned Joe. Well, he's not really mentioned Joe much.
Oh, 3 minutes ago, Samoa Joe tweeted out, and this is directly from his account. Extremely fortunate and grateful to all the young and amazing talent I had the pleasure of working with in the past months. Only saddened at the loss of an excuse being in air quotes, to see their continued growth and achievement. I am very excited for their future and mine. Upside down smiley face.
Interesting.
So it looks like there might be a little bit of bitterness with this release because only saddened at the loss of an excuse to their continued growth and achievement.
Yeah.
So and back to what Jimmy said. Is this gonna deter Johnny Gargano from coming back? Probably.
I don't think Johnny was coming back.
I didn't think he was coming back to begin with. I mean, there may have been a little bit of a road down the line, but I don't think anymore. I would honestly, and I don't want to say this because she's currently pregnant, I would not be surprised to see NXT release Candice LeRae.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think from a PR perspective, they wouldn't do that until she had the baby.
Oh, I would hope not, but if Joe was still hurt while they released him, I wouldn't doubt it if they fired a pregnant lady.
Yeah, could you imagine if they did that?
Fucking hell.
It'd be unbelievable, it would be, wouldn't it? But hopefully, Joe might be the only one. What did you think on William Regal going and...
How do you look at your best talent scout in the last 30 years and just fire him? This man literally built his last 10 years of his career in life finding the best talent that WWE can bring in and utilizing them. How do you look at that production, that much dedication and go, nah, we don't need that anymore?
No. This is the thing, isn't it? I don't get it. I mean, with William Regal, if you look at Pete Dunne, Finn Balor, he's picked a lot of talent out, isn't it?
The idea is for the talent to come to them now. That's Nick Khan's vision.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now not a lot of people are wanting to join WWE. They now have Gable Stevenson under contract. They got the U.S. Olympic gold medal winner.
They've got the twins, the volleyball twins as well.
They've got the twins. They've got those people who, I don't know much of if there's a professional volleyball league after college or stuff like that. But, these people are looking for a job to work that are athletic and I'm just
I mean, what Jimmy's probably trying to say there. That's, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but it does. The idea that they can't talent coming to them. If they are going to be expecting talent to come to them, do they need people like Regal to go out and find talent and stuff if they can already bring them in themselves? I mean, let's not forget, I know obviously William Regal's gone, but we've still got Robbie Brooks out there, fingers crossed for the guy. He's a legend in British wrestling, and if you speak to Nikki AHS and people, they all speak very highly of Robbie Brooks out. So maybe it's a matter of they've looked and gone, well, William, because we don't know. This is the thing that we don't know, Matty. We don't know whether Road Dogg and William Regal and the guys like that, whether they were any good at developing the new talent or whether they were good,
or whether they were good at being, a legend bringing someone in.
No, yeah, I mean, let's look at it from this way, right? Is the way WWE are going now is they are trying to get the putty, and they want to mould the putty in the right image. Where maybe the likes of Regal was good at bringing in an indie talent or the ready-made statue, and then just restoring it and just giving it a polish. They might not be good at doing the actual building of the. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
As though like they're trying to build the putty up, they're starting from the ground down, grounds upwards, where maybe the likes of Regal that weren't good at the foundation. They're only good at saying, okay, well, instead of doing it this way, do it this way. We don't know, do we? You know what I mean? We don't know what the whole
Yeah,
thing is.
like I tell, everybody all the time, I'm not one to dive into the minds of a billionaire. I don't understand business. I don't understand any of this. But if you're wanting these people to seek out WWE and want to come, like, they're wanting people to come in and work for them. You at least want names. Like, of course, like you said, they got Robbie Brookside. They still have Shawn Michaels back there. But, like, you need those names if you want people to come in, train with that, and have hopes of trying to make it to the main roster.
Okay, let me just try to ask you this question then, right? Even if you thought that you may get released, or you didn't know what the coach's name was, if an NFL team come in for you and offers you an opportunity, would you go for it?
100%.
Right.
Like,
and also, who's to say that Gable Stevens even knows who Shawn Michaels is?
dude, you have no idea how. You got a good point. I don't even know how old Gable Stevenson is. I could be older than the kid.
Yeah, the Bella twins. Did they know who everybody was when they first come into the business?
Good point. Same thing with. I will always go back to Cameron. Her favorite match of all time was Alicia Fox and Melina.
So doesn't it? Because they don't have a clue, mate.
The brand is bigger than the names at this point. Honestly, yeah, Jimmy, you are not wrong there.
That's exactly what Vince McMahon wanted, Jim, because he didn't want a big name. I think after if you look at back when he tried it with the Warrior and all the rest of it, is he never wanted the company to be so reliant as what it was on Hulk Hogan again. And it took him past Cena to get there, and now because let's face it, CM Punk could have went for the stars, couldn't he? He was so hot in that, but it's like Vince doesn't want that. He does, he's probably got that now in Roman in a way, but let's face it as well, Roman Reigns, could he go and have a 5-star match in the bloody Tokyo Dome? Potentially not. So, because he's a WWE guy inside out, and Roman knows that. Roman knows that himself.
I was about to say, Roman knows his role. Roman knows exactly what he's doing, and is honestly one of the best doing it right now. Like a lot of people on Twitter say that, it's boring. What he's doing is the same shit we've seen before. It works. It works. It worked with Triple H back in the early 2000s. It worked with Randy Orton throughout the 2010s. You get a heel that can shut down any opponent he has and do it methodically, that is a sign of a phenomenal heel in the ring.
Yeah.
And if you get people to say your matches are boring, to be honest, as a heel, I think you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? It's as I say, the brand is bigger than they nowadays, and it always will be. If, as you said, Roman does what Roman does, and he does it very, very well, and he's a company guy, but he's your product of what WWE is trying to achieve. They're trying to achieve that kind of, he is WWE, his style, everything about him, stuff like that. Do I think they will still bring some indie stars in? Yes, they potentially will, but they'll only bring them in for tryouts exactly the same as what the NFL does, and they'll just pick the little one that they want.
Yeah, I've actually been seeing a lot of people after the Regal release, talking about how years ago they were doing WWE tryouts still that way, and hardly any of them we ever saw make it to TV, or even in
No.
like a draft class that they have.
Mm,
But
that's
uh, I
well.
I was asked the other day uh, if William Regal was one of the biggest releases that I wasn't expecting,
Mm,
who, and I don't ever like speculating, but who would be the biggest shock release that WWE can do to you right now?
NXT Rise.
I would say all around, because I don't think it's just going to be NXT getting the releases here.
Somebody like Finn Balor.
Yeah,
I think either a Finn Balor or. Mm,
yeah.
let me
I was
think.
about to say Jimmy was right there. They did bring in Roxy, the former Ring of Honor Women's Champion, the one that was holding the belt whenever they ended the company.
Hmm.
She had a tryout, I believe, 2-3 weeks ago with
Yeah,
WWE.
yeah. She never got nowhere. Always up nowhere. She made them.
I think she's been announced for an MLW show, but that's an indie, so that's not like a contracted, long-term deal.
Yeah. There's nothing like there's anything else going down at the
I was
moment.
about to
It
say,
might just be.
luckily, I have not seen any more releases.
No, no. I think we're gonna be fine for now. Well, fingers crossed. Anyway. I think they like to. I mean, these. To be fair to these ones, though, Matt, it does feel different to me. I feel sorry for Joe, but I do feel like it's more backstage and stuff like that they're getting rid of more than anything else.
Yeah, and that was very prominent with them releasing Regal, Thatcher, Danny Burch, Hideki Suzuki, and Scott Armstrong all
Mm,
yesterday. That's
yeah,
that is a blatant. We are changing everything
yeah,
with NXT.
yeah. Oh well, I think we'll wrap it up there then, Matty. For now, I think we've had a good chat about this. Thanks everybody for joining us. We appreciate you supporting Wrestle Talk, Wrestle Buddies, Wrestle Talk. Oh, God, I'm half asleep.
Support Wrestle Talk.
It's because I'm tired and going to sleep. But no, we do appreciate you supporting us in our streams and everything else that we do. We just wanted to give you our thoughts on breaking news. Hopefully we'll do these again. We'll keep you updated if anything changes. But until next time, Wrestle Buddies, Matty, thanks very much, mate.
Thank you.
See you again soon. Take care.
Bye.